Okay. That should switch to us from Dawn,
I saw some sheets fall down.
but it hasn't yet. Can you hear me now on the Zoom? Nod your heads if you can.
Well, I'm just gonna ask you. That's okay. Okay. Oops, we got too much breeze. Okay.
I can't seem to get my. Okay. Now I've spotlighted this, so.
Okay.
You can use mine if you need to.
That's right. Welcome, everybody. Great day to be a Rotarian. Thank you for being here. It's the most beautiful spot in Northeast Kansas. I've said that before. We'll go ahead and have the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm looking over at our Zoomers. You're going to see my side view because our camera's set up. In any event, we'll have at it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You may be seated. We do have a couple of guests today. And Joni, you're not eating your cookie like last week, but Joni has a guest, and I've asked Joni to introduce her guest, please.
I'm thrilled to introduce to you Krallman. She's a long-time friend, and finally, she has agreed to complete your application.
Woohoo! That's great. And Steve has a guest today.
My guest today is my wife, Sally. I forgot.
Okay. Shuffle papers. Okay. Okay, thank you. Announcements. We got several. And I just added at the last minute, if you don't want your apple, please leave them on the table. The hippos will thank you. It's the time of year we're going to do our election, whether you want to pay dues only and then pay for meals when you show up, or if you want to prepay. And so that's going on right now. Our deadline to get that done is May 15th. There's some forms that we have had, but if you want to just take the easy approach and send an email to me or send it to Marie and just say, I want to do prepay, I want to do dues. If we don't hear from you, you're going to stay in the category you are right now. But if you want to make a switch, it's kind of like open enrollment. This is the time to do it. I put a little reminder in the email yesterday, but we kind of want to, make the point. We are the Rotary Club of Topeka. We, for a long time, probably decades, were known as the Downtown Club. That was always an unofficial name. We are no longer downtown. So we're trying to train ourselves to get back into the practice. We always were legally, we are and always have been the Rotary Club of Topeka. And so that's our name. Just want to make that point. Our Rotary Rubbish Roundup is a week from this Saturday. That's May 8th. It will be here at the zoo, but because of some event that's going on in the parking lot, we need to have you park in the Helen Hawker Theater. It'll start about 10. We'll be doing some cleanup, and I'm not sure where in the zoo, but they'll direct us, and that'll help them out also. That annual team training, I mentioned this last week, I put it in the email. A very fun half-day training session takes place in Lawrence at the Cider Gallery, and you'll learn a lot about Rotary, but it's not long and drawn out. It's not, tedious or anything like that. It's just a fun half-day training session. I would encourage you to go. RILA is coming up, and I did not realize, but the details, the dates and so forth are on the district website. I thought they were going to send me a subsequent email and tell me more details. Lo and behold, it's been on the district website for a little while. So there's actually 3 different applications. There's an in-person day camp. There's a virtual session. Both of those are done out of Lawrence, and it's late June. And then there's a separate session at the KU Edwards campus, I believe, and that's going to be in July. That's probably of less interest to our group because of the distance. So if you have somebody interested in RILA, please go to the district website. There's a brochure in there you can print out, gives you all the details. We do have some money budgeted for tuition. So students that need that help, we're here to help them. And one of our presidential citation goals is to send at least one student to RILA. So we want to make sure we get at least one there. We do need some volunteers, not just for our committees, but on our front desk. Russ Cobb is unusually busy this time of year and sent me a text, said, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it to very many meetings over the next few months. And so Bob Clausen will be the sergeant at arms going forward. But I can tell you from personal experience, the thing that really my kind of aha moment in Rotary is when I started sitting at that front desk 15 years ago almost. And at that time, I got to know almost everybody in the club. And that was, it kind of forced me to get out and know people, because for a while there, I was just sitting at the same table and sort of the same 4 or 5 people. So I would encourage you, if you want to get more active, it's a great way to meet more members in the club. I think we're ready for our presentation, and Steve's going to do the introduction.
Thank you, Stan. Our guest speaker today is local artist Callie Krallman of Topeka. She is truly inspired by the simple beauty of Kansas and has been painting dynamic works of our native state for over 25 years. Callie has had over 60 solo exhibits in the Midwest, and her work has been featured nationally and internationally through Art in the Embassies program, most recently in Moscow. She received her Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from Washburn University in 1981, and in 2015, she received a Fellow Award. She is a signature member of the American Women Artists and holds an associate membership in Oil Painters of America, National Oil and Acrylic Painters Society, Missouri Valley Impressionist Society. She has been published in American Art Collector, Plein Air Magazine, Southwest Art, and numerous publications. And she didn't put this in her comments, but you can see her stuff at www.calliekrallman.com. Her inspirations often come from those quiet times of the day, like dawn, when the air is crisp and so are the colors of the sunrise, or at sunset when the rich hues of the evening cast cool shadows on the rolling hills. She strives to evoke the emotions she feels when she's out in nature. The common theme of most of her work is calmness and serenity, hoping people will find some sense of respite in her work. Sally and I have been fans for a long time, and now I know a little bit more why. And we currently own and cherish 4 of her paintings. She has a lot to do in a short time to do it, so let's get her started. I'll give you Callie Krallman, and I'm going to turn so you can see her demonstration.
This show on the road. I'll have you test drive that a little bit too, Steve. Thanks, Rotary Club, for having me. Steve contacted me well over a year ago, and of course, we had a slight hitch, but we're back in business now. And so before I get started, I'm going to be doing just a little demo. And if you have to leave while I'm still working, it's no problem. Just feel free to come and go. I got a couple little disclaimers here. First of all, I'm really nervous. I haven't been in front of people for over a year. And in fact, I busted out the makeup and everything today. So I've pretty much been in the art cave for over a year and been trying to be really productive. I will most likely not finish the painting today in 20 minutes, but I'll do my best to do what I can. And then one last thing, I will not be bursting into song like your fellow Rotarian, Roger Ackerman, because I'm very, very shy. So what I'm going to be doing today while I'm painting is, Steve wanted me to talk a little bit about the art scene in Topeka, and also I wanted to touch a little bit on how it's changed over the last 25, 30 years. And I might do that real quickly, and then I'll get started painting. I started painting about 10 years after I got out of college. So it would have been the 90s. And when I first started, there was just a handful of galleries. Beecham's, of course, who has been around for well over 50 years. There was Dr. Roy's gallery over on Fairlawn. I think it was Kansas Gallery. Somebody correct me if they remember the name of that. And what is now Southwind Gallery wasn't even really displaying fine art. They were framing and doing prints, same way with the frame shop and gallery. So there was just a handful, of course, and then there's the Topeka Art Guild, who's been around for 100 years. So, but they haven't had a gallery that whole time. So it was kind of limited back when I started. And so I wanted to show the contrast of how much that has changed over the past 25 years, particularly the last 10 years since the inspiration that we've had of Noto. Now you can, on a First Friday, there's dozens, literally dozens of places that have art on display, both new galleries, there's pop-up galleries, there's all kinds of things happening. So if you're an artist in this area and you can't find a place to show on a First Friday, there's a problem, because there's so many nice venues to show your artwork. So I want to give a shout out to Anita, who I don't think Anita's here today. Maybe she's on Zoom.
She is on Zoom.
Okay, hi Anita. And John Hunter and those directly involved with the great, wonderful work they've done for the art community. And it's certainly helped all of us out. I'm going to go ahead and get going here. I'll just show you real roughly what I'm going to be working on. A lot of times I'll combine photos, or a lot of times I paint out in the open, but I should have done that today. It was nice enough. We could have done it out in the garden. And that's called plein air painting. Painting outdoors is plein air, and this is a typical plein air. Okay. Plein air painting setup. This is called a French easel. There's all kinds. I have 3 or 4 of them. I don't usually use this one. I have a real lightweight one that fits in a backpack. So this is what they call a plein air setup. I'm going to go ahead and get some paints out here, and I will try to multitask here. And I'll be shifting around so that you can kind of see what I'm doing a little bit. Oh, wait. Since I am not here for a fashion show, I'm going to gear up. This is my little smocky I wear at home, so you get to see the real deal here today. So there's plenty of extra paint going on, and some happy accidents, I guess, call it. And like Steve said, I've been painting in the Midwest here. I really started in the mid-90s. And in fact, when I mentioned Southwind, which was also frame shop and gallery. And I wanted to mention that when Gary Blitch decided to have a gallery, an actual fine art gallery, because he's mainly selling frames at that time, that me and my 2 buddies, Kim Casebeer and Brian Slauson, who are nationally known artists now, they get around, the 3 of us got to have a show together. And so Gary was always real happy to help lots of artists along the way as well. So I'll give a shout out to Gary. And the gallery is now owned by Janet Padu. And I actually knew Janet, I showed down in San Antonio at her gallery, and then she moved to Topeka to be near her mother. So so I knew Janet, and so I show my work there. And once a year, I have the privilege of getting the holiday show at Beecham's Gallery. So from November to mid-January, my work is always on display there. I'm going with a real simple palette today, just some basic primary colors.
Which are?
Oh, okay. The palette I'm using today, I'll use a white, yellow, just a pale yellow, and an orange, red, and I'll use a alizarin crimson red instead of a traditional red, and a blue. I'm going to throw in a couple neutrals. I usually put a little bit of gray. I'm not very good at mixing grays, so I just buy them in the tube. I cheat a little bit and just buy them by the tube. You got to know your strengths and weaknesses, I guess. Okay. So, get that water out. Give me a drink here. Did that circulate my photo?
Yes. You want it back now?
Yeah, that'd be good. This is a scene from the Flint Hills, and one of the things that I always try to incorporate in my paintings is something that's indigenous to Kansas and the Midwest. And so I want to really focus on a beautiful cottonwood tree. And so that's going to be my focal point. You'll notice I put a little circle here on this picture. And artists typically like to use what we call rule of thirds, where we divide the image up into 3 pieces, and you pick one of those corner quadrants to put something of emphasis. So that's kind of our rule of third. We don't always use it because we've been known, artists usually break the rules. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And for this first part, I'm going to use a pretty large brush just to lay in my sky tones and get that going. This has got, and you notice that I already toned my canvas. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't, particularly if I've got a nice warmer yellow that I'm wanting to use. I will go ahead and tone it that color. And I'm using acrylic paints today. I use both acrylics and oils. People always say, well, why use one or the other? And typically, if I'm in a super hurry, I'll go ahead and use the acrylics because they dry so quickly. I've had some oils that have taken up to 6 months to dry, and then you like to wait a little while before you put a varnish on it. So, like if I'm starting my show now for Beecham's, I'm starting to work on developing the pieces that I'll have there. I will go ahead and use oil. So you know that if it's an acrylic, I probably waited till the last minute or waited too long. So, and of course, last year we sadly missed the Mulvane Art Fair. So because of the COVID. So I wasn't in a super rush when it came time in June. Usually around the end of May and June, I'm cranking them out pretty quick. What I'm doing here, I'm just
mixing colors.
Yes, I've got, right now I'm mainly dealing with the white, the yellow, and I thought I brought orange, but let me look, I don't even know what it is. Yeah, orange. I've got a couple of companies that I buy paints from, and a lot of times the colors vary between companies. So you might order a cadmium orange from one company, and it's going to be completely different from another one. So I just grabbed what was in my stash there. And what's nice about this, what I do like about the, what happened to my paper towels? What I like about the acrylics too is it's a little safer for your health. Even though I have odorless thinner and odorless products, it's still in the air. Just because you can't smell it doesn't mean it's not there. So throw one more blue out. And feel free to ask questions as I'm going along. Like I said, I might throw in a couple other little things I wanted to talk about, but feel free to just shout out a question.
Callie, do you have professional training, or is this just your God-given talent?
Well, I did get a degree in fine arts at Washburn, but I didn't really start painting until I've had a career in screen printing for 22 years. And so during the second, I worked at Jostens printing and publishing for about 11 years. And then I went to work at another screen printing place. But during that time is when I started transitioning and focusing on my art more. I knew, well, the screen printing was doing t-shirts. I didn't do the printing, I did the design and stuff like that. So I said to myself, I said, I don't want to die and have the t-shirt lady written on my tombstone. So I said, I've got to get real more serious about it was also kind of therapeutic. So artists are notorious for being anxious and probably having mental health issues. Don't tell anybody I said that, but it's true. So anyway, during that transition, I had a lot of anxiety and stuff. And so I thought, well, maybe I can get to painting and it'll serve as a segue to help calm the situation down. And sure enough, it really did help. And so I always encourage people, you know, even if you don't do it for a career, that it's a wonderful pastime. And I even encourage young students that if you don't want to have a career in art, because it's not for sissies, and that you can always have art with you your whole life. So as long as you can just keep and continue to grow your art as long as you want. You don't have to try to make a living at it. And I'll just touch on that a little bit too. Not that it's a struggle, it's not really a struggle, but it's a dancing act to try to develop an art career, because it's meant to it's better if you can do it over a period of time. It takes a while to get your name out there. I always thank Steve and Sally. They were like some of my first customers. And so that was like 28 years ago or something. And of course, there's lots of people in here that have my work as well. And thank you for that. Because it does take a while to build that up and to build up your reputation and to get the ball rolling on that. And so try to multitask here. So it worked out really well for me that I had my career in screen printing, because I eventually started doing the screen printing stuff part-time, and then I switched to shooting photography for Coldwell Banker. And so I still do that. people say, well, are you a full-time artist? Yeah, I do this full-time, and then that's my get out of the house before I go crazy job. And so I still do that. And a lot of artists think that that's bad to have multiple careers, or maybe it's a bad thing that you do something else. But honestly, I about have to get out of the studio because it can just drive you crazy having too much alone time and time with your own thoughts, and it's nice to have something different. So I still do I call it my shameless, one of my shameless jobs, but it's just, it's been a good way to transition from a full-time art career, and it's also fun. So let's see. Now, one of the things that an artist needs to do is step away for a little bit. I gotta see what's going on because I'm painting from the side here. So, okay. Now I'm just doing light, loose strokes right now just to kind of get the thing going. And then I want to immediately get in here and get this foreground going. I like to try to get the whole canvas covered pretty quickly and then come in and start working the details. Today, I happen to be working with, it's a product that I haven't been using too long, but it's a slow drying acrylic. I only buy it in white, but it comes in all colors. But it kind of acts like oil where it doesn't dry real quickly, so I can blend it. So it's kind of a new product. I'm gonna get in here and throw in that cottonwood I was telling you about. And you have to be mindful of where the light source is coming from, which in this case is over here. The sun's setting over here. So I'm gonna try to do my darker shadow areas over here. Any questions, anybody?
How do you find subjects?
Oh, I always say that's the easy part. Nature does it for me. You know, you can go anywhere, anytime in our state and have a beautiful sunset, sunrise. I paint other things too. Most recently, I started painting birds. I had a commission job for out at the Hayes Regional Medical Center, and they wanted some cardinals. Well, I got a real good response from people. And so then I painted a meadowlark with some sunflowers, and it sold within hours. So I'm like, wow, I think I might be onto something here. And so I ended up, right now I'm doing a second meadowlark. I got a call and the guy says, I liked it so much that I want to buy one. So I got a second call. And then I'm doing a red-winged blackbird. And so that's just been something I've been playing with. It's not my normal shtick, but it is nice to mix it up once in a while because you know, after you've been doing this a very long time, it's nice for an artist to mix it up a little bit. Okay, so I'm just laying in some basic little trees here.
Kelly, I may have missed it. Where do you buy most of your supplies?
Most of the time I order from Dick Blick. There's a company called Utrecht. You can order from them directly. I like their paint. My teacher at Washburn, Ed Navone, was a huge Utrecht fan. And so he got me started on these, and they come in both acrylic, so Dick Blick bought out Utrecht, but you can still go to utrecht.com. They still carry some supplies. So mostly online. And then I stretch my own canvas, except for these are panels. This is called a panel. This is why I have this on. And so I'll either, if it goes up to 18 by 24, I'll order, it's a Fredericks Pro panel. And it's got a heavyweight cotton canvas. And then for my larger pieces, I just buy like 100 yards at a time. And then it comes in a roll. And then I have a rig that I just put a tube through, and then I just pull it off as much as I need. So my biggest painting is like 4 by 8. And the rule is if it'll fit in the van, that's as big as it'll go. So that's the way to figure out the maximum size. And I've been so lucky to be able to work, if you go to Stormont Vale, some of the buildings and the surgery centers and stuff, I've been so fortunate to get to work with those folks to do commission pieces. And so just very, very fortunate to have so far an amazing career, and just the wonderful support of people around here. And of course, I try to give back as much as possible to nonprofits. I get lots of calls from nonprofits that I donate up to 10 pieces a year, probably. So I feel like if I can give out, it might come back in return. And even if it doesn't, they need all the help they can get. So I try to do my part in donating as well. So, all right.
Callie, do you know how many years you've been participating at the Mulvaney Art Fair?
Well, last year would have been my 26th, but we weren't able to have it, and they're not able to have it this year. They are doing something really unique this year, and Richard, maybe you can help me out with the name. It's 100 minus 1.
100 minus 3.
100 minus 3, okay.
In 3 years, the Mulvaney will be 100 years.
Okay, and so some of the artists that normally are in the art fair were invited to put a piece up for sale. So there'll be live auction, and I'm sure Richard can expand on that a little more. But I've got my piece. It's a creek scene with a beautiful sunset. And so it's going to be up for sale, I think, coming up at the
It's online.
Okay.
Bidding starting May 31st and it ends June 4th, 8 o'clock.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks for the promo.
Yeah.
I'll put you on the spot.
Oh, boy.
As a donation, would you consider giving this painting to the Topeka Rotary Club?
Absolutely.
When she's done, we'll have an auction. How's that sound? Yeah.
Are you gonna let me take it home and tweak it a little bit, or?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll do that at a later meeting, we'll have an auction.
Okay.
That sounds like a good idea.
I just wanted to see the money now.
We get people online.
So Callie, it'll be a donation to the Topeka Rotary Foundation,
I can do that for sure.
primarily helping defeat human trafficking in Topeka right now.
Well, certainly that's, the average person doesn't really think about that in our community, but it's very present. And so it's something that certainly needs to be addressed, and appreciate you guys' work in making that happen. Okay. Let's see, I was gonna see if there's any other. Oh, I want to talk a little bit about what the arts do for the community. it's not just about artists selling their work or making a living at it. The arts in the community, it stimulates economic growth, and as we can see real easily what having First Fridays and getting people into our community can do. I've had friends come from 200 miles away just to come in and participate in our First Fridays. So I try to do my part in letting people know about how many fun things. And then I also want to give a huge shout out to Arts Connect and Sarah Fazell over there, who just works tirelessly to promote events in Topeka as well. So if you can bring people in, you guys all know the way of it, that if you can get people in, you can bring money into your community. And the community support in Topeka has just really been tremendous. I mean, if you think about it, in the last 10 years, you know, I know for me personally, like I've only got so much room for artwork, and you guys keep making room. So I appreciate that. And then I wanted to talk a little bit more about the pop-up galleries, how much a difference that has made. Of course, I think one of the first pop-up galleries that I remember was at Classic Bean when he moved. Well, he had it both downtown, and so that's what I call a pop-up gallery. It's a non-traditional gallery setting, and how they open up their wall space, and look at Next Links and several others here in town that have just kind of opened their arms to artists and give us new places to show. And I'm gonna have to clean my brush. I laid out some paper towels, but I don't know where they went. Here they are. A lot of people, when Noto came around and was being developed, I had just moved into a different property and had a space for my gallery space in my studio. So I didn't really need a studio space, so I wasn't able to take advantage of that. But I know a lot of my friends were in bad need of studio space. And so that was such a welcome place for them to be able to get their work out of their, you know, closet or out of their dining room, etc.
How do you know when it's finished?
Oh, that's the tough question. For me, generally, when I'm
Repeat the question.
when is it finished? I think that it's, for me, it's finished. Every artist has a different way, because some people might work like 6 months on this. They putz and they putz. And for me, I feel like if I've got the essence of that place, and I've had, I say enough detail about it that people can understand, then that's usually when I think it's done. That's probably kind of a lame answer, but.
When you're painting outside, do you finish outside or take it back to the studio?
It depends if I'm in a competition. If I'm in a competition, you're supposed to finish it on location. Now, sometimes you go back to the hotel room and, you know, oh, I didn't see that or whatever. But if you're, so it depends if you're in a competitive situation. If you're just doing it for fun, it's meant to be more of an experience type thing. And sometimes you get a good piece and sometimes you don't. So that's kind of the, I had a brain glitch right there. But usually for me, if I'm painting outside, I'll just try to get it finished there. A lot of times on a competition, you have to, as soon as you finish it, you have to go frame it at your car and take it in and enter it. And I want to talk about the plein air event, the events that are storming the United States and all over the world, really. There's just the plein air, the activity of plein air painting has just gone kind of wild in the last, maybe 15 years, 20 years, I'd say. Tons of competitions, and there's lots of towns that bring business in with plein air competitions. They get national artists. And so it's become a great way for a community to bring artists into their town from all over the country. There's a website that tells artists where to sign up for these competitions, and there's lots of prize money. There's several of my friends that's how they make their living. Instead of a traditional gallery, they'll sign up for plein air events and travel from town to town all over across the United States. And then they'll earn prize money and sell their paintings right on the spot. They're still wet. And so that's how a lot of artists prefer to make a living. And even they're just starting to start up a little bit more now after the COVID. So it is starting to pick up a little bit.
Callie, we're getting close to 1 o'clock.
Okay, great.
And so if there's something you wanted to make sure we knew about you or your painting, now's the time to tell us.
Okay, well, I think the main thing I want to know is how much I appreciate everybody and their support. I see lots of people that have my paintings in here, so I appreciate that. It keeps food on the table and Cox Cable paid and all of that. So you can keep it, you can simplify it just like that and say, well, it keeps an artist with a roof over their head. And so I just want to thank everybody, and I want to thank Steve for reaching out. I haven't seen you guys for a while, so it was nice to get to see everybody. And I think let me look at my notes and see if there was anything critical I missed here. Let's see. I think that's it. I will continue to work on this. Like I said, it's got a ways to go, but when it is finished, I will get a hold of Steve or Roger and get it varnished and put it in a nice frame, and you guys can have your way with it there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Callie. This is great. This is kind of fun and different, I must admit. It is our practice, as our Rotarians know, and I've mentioned to Callie, we give a book in honor of the presentation to Ross Elementary, and we ask the presenter to sign the inside book plate, so we'll get that signature from Callie in a little bit. And that's it for announcements. Next week, cut money, yes. Thank you for reminding me. Please give generously to cut money. We're playing catch up because we did not have cut money for almost a year. So please do that. Next week, the presentation will be by Michelle Stubblefield, and you may know Michelle is with the Greater Topeka Partnership. And this ties to the master plan that we got a presentation on 4 or 5 months ago. I can't remember exactly when, but at about that time, a survey went out to the community to comment on Topeka's future, aspects of the master plan. So that's a very timely deal. Michelle will come and talk to us about the results of that survey. So I'm looking forward to that. And I believe that's it. Let's stand and do the four-way test and we'll be done. The things we think, say, and do, is it truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And will be fun and kind. There we go. Thank you for coming today. We'll just leave that going if you want to for a little while. Can you grab your boxes, please, on the way out, toss them? Well,
Okay, I heard that right. On May the 8th, you're meeting here.
Yes.
Okay.
In the parking lot south of
Yeah, right
Krallman
there,
Harbor.
on the parking lot.
Oh, wow.
10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Would you like?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wow. Yes, I would love to, Kurt.
Yeah, I'll send.
Okay, great, thanks.
Very good program.
Thank you.
Very my wife said you still have pictures for her.
Yes, I did, yes.
Anyway, very nice.
Thank you. Tell her I said hi.
I will do that.
You know, it's very interesting how you create depth.
Oh,
I mean, the mountains in the background, and then all of a sudden you're up front.
yes,
It's incredible.
thank you.
I assume you can have special interest on this right now.
Good idea, though.
So Callie,
Thank you. Don't put your arm around me. Oh, it's clean.
Steve, do we record these to watch these again later?
yes,
Okay, so I can just click on the link to get to it, to be able to get
you can
to
go
the
to the YouTube channel.
Okay,
Callie, Larry Dimmitt says, great program.
Tell Larry I said hey.
All right. Melissa Masoner says her favorite Krallman painting is A Woman in a Marketplace.
Oh, yeah.
How often have or do you do people?
Oh, I love doing people. I usually do family members, so I keep those. I usually don't sell those very often.
Okay.
That's a good question, though.
Well,
Thank you.
I was bringing up the chat, at least the way I'm doing it, blocks the view of your painting. So
Okay.
I'm catching up here after but there are several Zoomers still out there. So
I'm gonna leave you my phone.
Oh, okay.
I work with a nonprofit,
Okay.
Breakthrough House.
Oh, sure.
We help 588 people.
I'm very,
Enroll in this program.
yes, I'm very familiar.